that time.
Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Welcome to Paradise, Michigan. This is episode 21, The Grass is Greener on the Other Side. And our title will make a little more sense in just a few moments when we get to the recap, but first, a couple quick announcements. If you look up above Tomiko and M in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see one lonely domain pop. I mean, there's a plus 35 next to it, so there's 36 of them. But there's just one on the graphic. Those domain pops are domain dice for this particular game. Domain dice are, of course, a way that you, the
You're all users.
You, the viewer, can influence the game simply by subscribing, resubscribing, gifting subs, cheering, tips, all that good stuff. Earns domain pops that they can use for things like accidentally screwing over another character. I'm just kidding. I didn't say any names, so don't make that look.
Go ahead and
you're gonna impugn yourself. No, we do have the D100 mystery grab bag that you can spend 5 domain pops to roll on, or you can use them, of course, as adversity tokens to gain pluses to your various rolls. Our scheduling, which I have to make a couple changes to still, but if you type ! schedule, you can see what games we've got going on. Of course, on Monday nights is our Scribes and Scrolls Pathfinder 2e campaign. Things just got really interesting this week, battling 4 wyverns with 4 riders 3,000 feet in the air on an airship.
And we found an angel.
And an angel crashed to the deck, and the wyvern riders want the angel, and now they have Tira's brother in their claws, suspended 3,000 feet in the air. So tune in next week to see how that resolves itself. Also, you can see the moment where Flip cast a 5th level spell that caused all of us to go, "You did what?" So, speaking of you did what, next week we should be returning with Sky Metal Iron Gods, no longer a Pathfinder 2e campaign, for ease of use for our game master, who is, in addition to running the game, doing things like going to school full time and whatnot. So we will be going to 5e, D&D 5e with that game. But when we return, it'll be a whole new party of characters because we TPK'd. And poor M wasn't even there to be a part of it.
I was the meme of the guy coming in with pizza and everything's on fire.
you were Troy coming back in the darkest timeline.
Yeah.
Literally everybody was dead. Our game, I posted the video or edited the video, and it's just under an hour. Because we were like, what do we do now? So it works out though. It works out. We'll just be another group of adventurers hired because the previous group of adventurers disappeared. Last night was our 7th session of our Mythos Investigators Call of Cthulhu Lawtherville original scenario created by Ricky, who is just amazing at terrorizing. And actually, I take that back. Last night was not our 7th session. It was supposed to be our 7th session. We postponed for reasons, but that will be coming up. We are in the end game, one Wednesday a month. We'll make that game up soon. And of course, Thursdays you can catch us here for Kids on Bikes. And lately on Fridays, you can catch me moonlighting over on Nerdarchy, or I've been doing some extra moonlighting over on Erasmus Expeditions with 2 different games we've got going on over there. Let's see. I think I missed a couple of these. I think I owe you. There you go. Look at that. All those domain pops coming in for you guys. The last thing that I want to talk about before we get into our safety tools and mental health announcements is I want to tell you guys about something pretty awesome coming to MTD on September 30th. You can tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for Todd Stashwick's Nerd Circus presents Legends of Eleanor, The Light of the Child, a Dungeons & Dragons charity live stream event featuring Matthew Lillard, Mika Burton, Tawny Newsom, Jack Quaid, and Dungeon Master Todd Stashwick. Now, looking at that graphic, you can see that on the ends, there were two, maybe you. We were auctioning seats for anybody who wanted to pony up for a great cause, Pavlov Foundation, benefiting childhood cancer research and things that they do in that area. The auction ended today, and it was very exciting to see, literally in the last 30 seconds, the bid shot up to $4,000 a seat. So we haven't even started the game yet, and we've raised $8,000 for Pavlov Foundation. We are going to have some amazing giveaways. We are sponsored by Todd Stashwick's Nerd Circus, so there will be signed, personalized copies of Mystic Libations, the tiki glasses that he sells. We're going to be giving away or having at auction levels dice boxes from Nerd Circus, as well as Pavlov merch, and there'll be some other giveaways in there. And rumor has it that it's a high ticket item, but in almost every game that Todd runs, he puts up for between $1,000 and $2,000. The first person to donate that, he will run a private game for you and 5 of your friends that you get together and plan that. It's a high ticket item, but it's for a great cause. And as somebody who's gotten to participate in those games with Todd, it's amazing. It's an amazing opportunity just to get to play. You play 5e D&D, but with somebody that was brought up with the original versions of D&D. He brings a sort of an old school style, but with new school sensibilities and using the new rule sets. But you can see that for yourself by tuning in on September 30th. And you'll see many of us from MTD will be hanging out in the chat, encouraging you to donate, telling you about great giveaways, and it's going to be a great 3 hours. These are some incredible people, couple of which we've had the opportunity of having on MTD before, and some new faces here. So we're very excited about this. Also, I just remembered, friend of the channel, Julia Madalena, who is an amazing artist, has also done some artwork for Patrick Rothfuss for his charity that's escaping me right now. It's World Builders or something like that, I think. But also for Mystic Libations. Rumor has it she's making a special limited edition poster that will be available for donations as well, featuring the Legends of Eleanor branding and things like that. And you'll be able to see that artwork incorporated in our stream design. So more information on that will be coming as we get closer to that event. All right, real quick, just to let everybody know in the audience watching on VOD, I like to remind everybody that we are all adults here, and we are playing, while we are playing as kids and teenagers, and sometimes we act like kids and teenagers, we are, believe it or not, adults. You may hear adult language, you may hear adult situations, things may get intense psychologically in terms of horror, and with our current storyline, body horror is going to be something that will be coming up to a certain degree. We have safety tools in place, us at the table, the virtual table. And we are constantly in communication and keeping an eye out. So we know that if things get pushed a little too far or whatever, we know how to take care of ourselves. So one, I want you to know that. Two, if none of that is, if all of that is stuff that you don't want to see, feel free to go somewhere else. We will not be offended. And finally, we just want to remind you and let you know before we get into the game proper here that you matter. Your presence on this earth makes a difference. Whether you believe it or not, it is true. There's so many reasons that people have to struggle, myself included. Just know that you're not alone, that it is okay to not be okay. It's okay to have these struggles, but you do not have to suffer in silence or suffer alone. There are resources available to you. You can come into our chat at any time, and you can type !help. A couple URLs will pop up. Find a helpline.com, and you can also check out takethis.org's growing list of resources. We encourage you to check out those websites, bookmark them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. With that, I would like to welcome you all to Paradise, Michigan. In our most recent situation, over the last couple of sessions, it's hot. It is 1980 something in the Lakeshore of Paradise, Michigan, and it is a heat wave. For days, the temperature has been peaking over 100 degrees consistently. You tried to take respite inside the air-conditioned home of Oak's grandparents, were briefly disturbed by birds suddenly falling out of the sky and dying. And then when, for reasons I still don't clearly understand, that Rosie picked one of the dead birds up, where it promptly dissolved into a goo. You guys basically said nope and went inside the place of D&D. Unfortunately, the power went out. Not just at the home, but all over town. Deciding to go to the lake, you all discovered that not only was the power out, it seemed as though all vehicles had stopped moving. Many cars were stopped in the middle of the road. You made your way to the beach, where you got some respite, playing in the water and relaxing in the sand, finding a little bit of shade in from the lighthouse before also, and there was some very personal and intense conversations and personal revelations that were taking place, interrupted only by the sudden appearance of hundreds and hundreds of fish suddenly turning belly up in the water, as well as a giant crocodile creature known to your group as James appearing belly up. Suddenly, out of seemingly nowhere, a military-style helicopter flying overhead lost power and crashed on the beach next to you. An investigation began, which was hampered, of course, by the inability of people to use vehicles and anything of an electronic nature, which is why the injured pilot and co-pilot were taken away in a wagon, a horse-drawn wagon. You all were asked to wait off to the side for questioning. At the first chance you got the heck out of Dodge. You took off, and determined that the only safe place for you to go was to seek out the Seven. Rosie remembered, I believe it was Rosie, remembered the method by which to open the door to access the clubhouse, if you will, of the Seven, the basement under Page's bookstore. Arriving there, of course, you found the power out, but it was cooler in the basement. You decided to hang out there for a while, waiting for, I think you were waiting for dark, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And a couple things happened. One was very odd, that Oak and Billy were able to use their flashlights. Though there has been no power, their flashlights seem to be working. Around that same time, you noticed that there was a sound in the corner of the room, and you saw a piece of the paneling with shelving on it had popped open, revealing a secret entrance or secret door. At that same time, Oak, while trying to figure things out, doing the Oak thing, scribbling in his notebooks and trying to piece things together, noticed a itch on his arm and kept itching. And noticed that some green, almost like plant matter, was coming off on his fingers and seemed to be spreading. When he looked at his arm, seeing a patch of moss growing on his arm, at that same moment, a figure emerged from the secret access that the only person who would recognize this individual, we determined you all did see them when you were escaping from the installation, the Nexus installation. He was the scientist, the bearded, bespectacled scientist that showed you the exit. Though he misled you, he showed you the exit that led you out the back. Jessica has a little more intimate, I won't say intimate, let me rephrase that, a little more personal relationship with him, as he was one of the scientists present when she was captured in the same lab. This man has appeared, looked at you all, appeared to be flickering, almost like a hologram, said, "I don't feel so good," and collapsed on the ground at your feet. That was a lot, but that was everything bringing you up to speed on what's going on. So first thing I would like to do is we're going to go to Jessica's grandparents' house. Jessica, you wake up in the morning, probably woken up by the fact that even this early in the morning, you can already feel the heat and humidity. With the power out, the windows were all opened at night, but very little respite from the heat was to be found. You know that for the last 3 days, you've been in Traverse City, which is only about 20 miles or so away from Paradise. You went there with your grandparents. You guys stayed at a bed and breakfast. You remember going to a to a cherry orchard, and getting your grandparents getting things like cherries, cherry preserve, cherry juice, pretty much everything cherry, as well as having gone to a nearby mall. You remember walking around the mall. Nothing particularly exciting about the trip stood out. Nothing. It was, if nothing else, it was a respite from all the weirdness that's been happening. But as you wake up, that trip, even though you just got back last night, it just feels like almost like a distant memory, like a dream almost. What are you doing when you wake up now that you're back after 3 days? What are you gonna do this day?
So Jessica wakes up and she groggily kind of slides out of bed, sits up. She looks in the mirror, and I imagine with all this humidity and heat, her hair is just like out to here, just huge and messed, curly and wavy, and she's just as she tries to comb it, and it takes a very long time and so much hairspray, so much.
Nobody light a match.
Yeah, no one, like, it's a miracle she didn't pass out from the fumes amount as she slicks back the hair into that really high ponytail that she usually has, and she I think though it seems like a dream, it probably seems like a good dream. It's like something that was relaxing, and she feels, I think, at least for the moment, just a little bit at peace, kind of getting away from all of the craziness that has happened so far. But there is that sense of unease that begins to slowly creep in, with Jessica, of just, not knowing how the others are doing, what they're doing, as she would go downstairs, make breakfast. I think that kind of unease would begin to grow in her, that feeling of peace, feeling of reprieve slowly disappearing as the morning turns to day.
The most noticeable bit of respite that you had for the last 3 days is that it was, by all accounts and by your memory, it was free of your independent reflection. Even now, that probably maybe even passes across your mind as you're spending a lot of time in front of the mirror, that it's just you in the mirror. You've been 3 days without seeing this reflection. I would like you to roll me a D100.
All right. Let's see. 59.
I rolled a 71, which puts you 12 away. There was a 25% chance of something happening. As you're going about the morning you described, and you have that initial feeling of peace from just this memory of 3 days of respite from all the weirdness. As you start to head downstairs, as you said, that feeling of unease begins to build. The first thing you don't notice is, as you get up from the vanity and head downstairs, your reflection lingers for just a moment and turns to watch you leave. As you head out of the room, and at the top of the stairs there's a sideboard that your grandma always keeps some it looks like she always keeps fresh flowers, but they're actually silk and plastic, in front of a decent sized mirror. And same thing, as you walk down the stairs, your reflection stops and watches you descend the stairs. It's not until you're sitting at the kitchen counter, where your grandma has put out, because of the lack of power, there's no orange juice or milk or anything like that. Fortunately, you have a gas stove, so your grandma made up some eggs and bacon and stuff like that. And as the the bread, I guess, is sitting next to the toaster because the toaster doesn't work, glancing over at that's when you see your reflection is just staring at you and not moving as you move. It's one of those, like, you catch the lack of movement out of the corner of your eye, and then you're like, and she's just sitting there kind of bowed down like this so that her face is showing in the toaster, and she's just watching you.
Who peed in your cereal this morning? She says, trying to sound nonchalant, but you can hear, like, there's a slight edge, nervous likeness to her voice as she says that.
Where have you been?
Well, like, my grandparents and I went to, like, this museum, which, I mean, my grandpa really loves airplanes or something from, like, World War II. And I didn't really, like, understand what the whole big deal was. I mean, they all kind of look the same. But we went to this cherry orchard that was amazing. Yeah, I had a great time without you.
You should never be without me. And I don't mean that in a you need me, I need you, blah, blah, blah. I mean, wherever you go, I go. I was left alone. for the last 3 days. Here, in the dark.
In the toaster? Oh.
In the reflection of this house. I never left.
She like pauses. You can see like her brow furrows. So like you can't leave Paradise.
You see her kind of mulling this over, like, maybe that's it. If you left Paradise, maybe that's why I couldn't go, but I should have been with you at least until you left town.
Yeah, Jessica nods. Like she's kind of like gotten involved in this, and she nods. But you couldn't leave when I like left the house.
No. I'm always here. Wherever you are, I'm always there. Visible whenever you pass by a window or anything with a reflective surface. That's our connection. When you went to bed 3 days ago, you were just gone in the morning. I was here in this house by myself. Do you have any idea how hot it's been in here for the last several days?
Oh my god, I know. But your hair looks fine.
Well, I was glad that's the first thing you did when you woke up.
He pauses. You know, I never asked. Is there anyone else there? In your... He like gestures place?
I've never seen anyone beyond almost like shadows or ghosts. Not really ghosts, but you know when you look in the mirror and sometimes at the edge of the mirror, or if it's one of those double paned windows, you can sort of see a reflection mirrored a couple times. I see those of your friends and others at times, but I've never seen anybody directly. You also would notice, Jessica, this is the most your reflection has really spoken to you. And she seems to be very talkative and almost talking to you like a sister or a friend in a way that she hasn't before. For whatever reason, you're not sure. But yes, any of the hostility she normally shows for you, at least for right now, is mostly gone.
I think it would almost remind her of her older sister as well, that kind of like back and forth, because I like to imagine that Jessica and her sister are actually very close, and her sister, you know, going away to university kind of left Jessica alone with her parents who are always fighting, and so this is really like she finds a lot of solace in this, so she tries not to kind of look or question it too much. As she, for a moment, she pauses and she's like, wow, that like must be super lonely.
She doesn't say anything for several moments. And then she just sighs. It is. It's very lonely. And it was that much worse when you were gone. And I don't know why. As far as I can remember, I've never been separated from you. She kind of looks on either side. She's still reflected in the toaster, and she kind of looks around like this. Do you feel that? Like, for me, it feels almost like static electricity in the air.
Jessica was going to say, listen, the doctor said it's a problem. It's a gland problem. The fact that I sweat so much. So
yeah, I'm doing.
She like pauses. Can Jessica feel anything?
It's that she's describing that uneasy feeling that you've been feeling build up.
Mm-hmm.
Something's. I think this is what I sense whenever all the weird nonsense that's been happening since we got here. But with you and your friends around, there's just been so much noise. Being alone for 3 days, I seem to be able to hear almost like the silence, if that makes sense. And I can feel, just in the last day or so, something's building. I think something's wrong.
Jessica nods. We should, like, check on the others.
She, as you make a decision, you see her kind of start to nod, and then she suddenly pushes back from the counter in the reflection, and she goes, I mean, yeah, if you want to, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. She like pauses and takes some bread and puts some like butter on it and jam and shoves it in her mouth and heads out.
You would find, just in the interest of moving forward a little bit, you would find going to the various houses that none of your friends are around. You can actually see a couple of them, the garage doors open, and the bikes are all gone. You do notice that when you go outside, there seems to be a lot of dark stains on the sidewalk in the street. Like, it almost looks like if somebody burst water balloons all over the place, but they were full of like oil or something, or grease. There's these little grease stains all over the place. Little shadows, more or less, on the ground. Where would you go to look for your friends?
I think Jessica would go to she'd go to Maniac's Pizza, some of the places where like they've hung out regularly. Maybe ask around too, see if anyone's seen.
I like to think that this next scene is sort of like the classic drone shot of Jessica riding her bike through town. You're experiencing, the tar is pretty soft when you ride on the street, that where the car tires normally go. You have to stay away from that. Your tire actually leaves tracks. I imagine Jessica's bike has white tires. I don't know why.
Aw, damn it.
But they're not very white for very long riding on this. And that's when you see what the others have seen. You see cars parked in the middle of the road, hoods up. You start to notice that businesses are, they have signs in the door that they're closed. People are, there's not a whole lot of activity. And as you get closer to Maniacs, that's when you hear the sort of of horses' hooves on pavement, and you see a sheriff's deputy, 2 firefighters, a paramedic riding on a horse-drawn wagon with 2 like ambulance gurneys in the back of it with 2 wounded people in them as they just sort of pass by you. And you can see even from here that there's a plume of smoke rising up in the air from the beach. And there's quite a gathering of people around the beach area. And sort of as you continue moving past, seeing that Maniacs is closed, you pass by Betty and Jude's Crafts and Hobbies, and then by that alleyway, and that's when you catch a glimpse of Oak's tricycle bike, 3-wheel bike with the basket and everything, just sort of poking around, and you maybe see one of the other kids' bikes there as well, out behind Paige's bookstore.
Yeah, Jessica goes over to that area. Looks around. And sorry, you said that all the bikes were outside?
When you get there, yeah, you see the bikes are there. I don't know if Laz leaves his skateboard out or if he brings it in with him when he goes in places, but
typically carries it with him.
But yeah, so you would see the bikes sitting out there, and the just kind of parked out back there, and you see the green door with the brass handle at the back. Now the question is, does Jessica remember how to open the door?
Absolutely not. No.
Damn it.
Okay. You open the back door, and you're in the back room of Paige's. And the only light seems to be coming from the light streaming in from outside. At this point, as you've entered in that area, we're going to go ahead and... sorry, I just lost all control of my music.
Most terrifying epidemic there is.
No, like I can't even... It's playing and I can't turn it off. I can't switch it. So...
While Jake is monkeying with the music, check us out on teespring.com. At teespring.com, we have all kinds of new t-shirt designs like the one Jake is wearing and the one I'm not wearing tonight. We have character stuff for D&D and all of that fun things on hoodies and mugs and tank tops and so much more. Teespring.com. Just search Mini Terrain Domain.
Die-cut stickers!
And die-cut stickers!
All right, well...
Thank you.
I don't know what's
There we
going
go.
on with it.
There we go.
It keep the controls keep going in and out on my Stream Deck. So, so much for subtle music changes. We are going to cut to downstairs in the basement where Oak is just discovering the green moss growing on his arm. At the same time, this mysterious man has fallen out of this space onto the floor and is now lying at your feet in the light of Billy's flashlight. What are the rest of you doing?
I'm staring at the dude that just fell on the floor. I'm like, holy shit, who is he?
Where did he come from?
Make sure that I'm in between this dude and the younger kids.
Oh my god, there are people living in the walls?
Yeah, I guess. Where did he come out of? Like, where was he before?
You can see
And I kind of like look at the...
You can see where it was open, where it's partially open, where he came out of.
Holy shit. Ugh.
Is he conscious? Does he say anything when Rosie says, "Who are you? Where'd you come from?"
He does
I'm not talking to him. I'm talking to you guys. He's unconscious.
He's fallen to the ground, and for the moment he's not moving or saying anything.
All right, I'll if he's not reacting, then I'll bend down and I'll check his pulse, see if he's breathing, see if he's alive.
Give me a... Let's see, what check would this be? I'm thinking this is going to be a...
While Billy is checking his pulse and doing actual like medical shit, Rosie kind of pokes him.
Let's go brains.
Okay.
Poking him with a pen or a bat is
That'll be a
legit.
14.
14?
Yes, sir.
14 is going to be... Okay, that's more than enough for you to determine this. As you reach down to touch his neck, you see coming up from the collar of his shirt, you see what looks like a rash, but it's green. And as you reach to touch him, you see, for just a moment, you're holding a flashlight. So you know how when you move the flashlight around, shadows shift. It almost looks like that. But you realize it's this green rash actually kind of goes and moves a centimeter towards where you were about to touch his neck to check for a pulse.
All right, then I immediately stop and not touch him. Anyone have any mirror, glass, anything?
Why? Is he dead?
There's something weird on this dude's neck, so I don't want to touch him.
Dig through my backpack and I pull out a Gatorade bottle, an empty Gatorade bottle, which at the time were made of glass.
All right, I'll put that under his nose and see if it, fogs up a little bit to see if he's actually breathing.
It does. He is breathing.
Okay, Oak? Did a skeeter get you?
Well, I thought maybe it was. I've been itchy since we got down here.
And he
Probably got allergies or something.
he pulls up his sleeve a little bit, and you see that. And I think for the first time, he sees not just the green on his nails, but the actual.
What you see, and anybody looking at you sees on your upper arm, is what looks like a literal patch of moss.
I would reach down and try to brush it off of him. Rosie just thinks he walked through something down here. There's mold or something that he got into.
When you touch it, it feels like moss like you would find on the side of a tree, and it doesn't move off of his arm. In fact, you would see, Rosie, as you go to do that and you kind of brush at it, you see the edges of it grow a couple millimeters.
Oh shit.
Okay, that's not good. That's
I'm sorry.
no.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
What? God.
Okay, nobody touch me. And Billy, did you say he's got something green on him too?
Got some kind of green rash on his neck?
Okay, cool. Don't touch him either. Okay. All right. But let's see if we can figure out who he is. Okay. If we can maybe wake him up.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get an answer.
Laz and Coop, roll me a D100, please.
But we're not doing anything.
I know.
I didn't ask for this.
What? 19.
That's why you're doing it.
19.
27.
Wow. I rolled a 24. You both are right in that neighborhood. So as this is happening,
Reggie.
Both of you hear above your head the floorboards creak.
Somebody's here.
You just hear that, the sound of a footstep, and you hear.
Is there a second story in this bookstore?
No, you're in the
Upper level.
basement.
We're in the basement.
You're in the basement.
Somebody's up there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Someone.
So Coop just kind of looks and goes, "Oh, maybe the sisters are home. Maybe they'll know what to do."
Yeah. Holy shit. Okay. Well,
They'll know who this guy is.
or maybe they know
Laz.
something about that.
Sorry, I just saw your note, Jeremy. Laz, in part, I think part of the reason you're heading over there is that Templeton would have whispered in your ear, I can sense something with power on the other side of that wall where that man came from.
Is the shelf still open?
The door is open, I would say probably about 2 or 3 feet. Like when he stumbled out, it sort of closed part way. It's all you can see is shadow beyond. The only light in this room is from the 2 flashlights.
So he'll go over to the bookshelf and just kind of stand to the side and push it open further to kind of try to get a better look inside.
Seeing what Laz does, Billy will shine the flashlight into the room.
Opening up this space, what you see is initially what you see looks like a about an 8 foot by 8 foot. It almost looks like a cell. The walls are lined with like cinder block, and you see that there is a in one corner there's a simple cot with some bedding in it. There's what looks like a utility closet sink with like the floor drain, like for draining mops and stuff like that. There's a chair, a lamp. It looks equal part. It looks like somebody turned a janitorial closet into an apartment and put it behind a secret door.
This guy's been like living here, but like in hiding.
There's something in there. I can feel it. Like it feels like what I feel when I feel electronic things, but different.
Right? You want you want down?
He goes, I think so.
All right.
Unless
well,
you want to come with me.
Well, no, I'll be right behind you.
You first, tiny mammal.
So we hear this conversation, right?
Yeah, this is happening in front
so
of you all.
I'll step into the room and I'll give it a sweep with the flashlight.
You don't see anything new.
I don't see anything in here, Templeton. You know, I think it's safe to come in.
You lower Templeton down to the floor, and he does that sort of rat, kind of half running, half leaping thing. He goes every few feet and kind of stops, and you see him sort of sniffing the air. You also hear above you, now the others of you can hear it, the floorboards creaking. Somebody is walking around above you. Templeton goes into the space and just starts kind of running around and checking everything out in the room. In the meantime, what are you doing?
I'm gonna go run upstairs and get the sisters since it sounds like they're home now.
I'll come with you. We shouldn't go off by ourselves.
Okay.
Guys, we'll be right back. We're going upstairs to see who's up there.
Shout if you need something.
Going upstairs, you have to go outside and open the door a different way to get into the upstairs area.
Correct.
Because when you opened there was only stairs down. Yeah, you know how the door works. So you and Coop head upstairs. Opening the door, going back out into the back alleyway, you see Jessica's bike parked next to all of your bikes.
Oh shit. And then so Rosie would kind of like smile and she would like, come on, Coop, and like wait for him to get outside. And then like shut the door, and she would count like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. She doesn't really know why. She feels like she has to wait, but it's like there's a buffering period. And then she like just
You've got to wait
like
for the router to reset.
Yeah, that's you gotta unplug it and count, and then
the new
plug
zone
it
has to load.
100%. And then she just turns it like a regular knob and opens it.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how jumpy is Jessica?
15.
So I will let you describe how Jessica reacts when, as you're kind of just entering this back room, first the door that was open and giving you light suddenly slams behind you. And about 3 seconds later, you hear the knob turn and the door is suddenly thrown open. How does Jessica react to that?
Oh God. Okay.
I like how I didn't say that I threw the door open, but we all know Rosie at this point. She does not gently open doors.
You pantomimed throwing it open.
Oh, well, subconsciously then.
I mean, Jessica was trapped in a lab for a week and beat up a scientist. So I feel like her first instinct to being very afraid, a hand comes flying out.
Make a fight check. Make a fight check.
Oh no. Can I say that as soon as she realizes that it's Rosie, she's gonna try to...
Rosie's got a pitcher reflexes, man. She's had balls hit back at her all the time.
So here's what we're gonna do, because we don't get to do this very often, and ironically, the last time we did it, one of you punched somebody else.
Been a lot of
who was that?
Friendly fire punching.
I don't recall.
A lot of punching. Yeah, I don't recall.
So it is going to be
Lee the Fifth.
It is going to be Jessica's fight versus Rosie's brawn.
Oh, okay.
Right. I got an 11.
Nah, I got a 5.
Okay, so Jessica beats you by 6.
I forgot that there is like a scaled success.
Yeah,
okay.
So these kind of things use narrative results. So Jessica, you explain what you do to attack, and Rosie, you get to explain in response, or how you respond, keeping in mind whatever you do just barely mitigates the harm. So Jessica, you start, and Rosie, you finish.
You see Jessica just like whip around, her ponytail just flying, and he says, "You won't take me this time," and she like punches out into the air.
So you said I mitigate the damage somehow?
Yeah,
like
you don't take damage. The degree to which, however the hit lands, is up to you. Do you block it? Whatever, that you have narrative control on that.
Okay, got it. So I imagine Rosie would like as this is like flying out, she would like hit not it's not as cool as like whap like in a kung fu movie, but like it is like her hand goes up because it's very much like when a ball gets hit back at a pitcher, and it's just it has to be so fast, and she just kind of like how dare you, Jeremy? How
No,
fucking
listen. I was waiting to see if you were gonna duck, because if you were gonna duck, I was gonna make Coop roll Braun.
Fucking-lutely not. Absolutely.
Because that would have been amazing if you ducked out of the way and Jessica punched Coop.
Boof! Oh my god, both the little kids are taking fire.
Jeremy and I are terrible. We both want Coop to get punched.
Awful people.
No, we don't.
It's
Nobody
what I
wants
wanted.
Coop to get punched. It just would be funny.
I
We don't want it
imagine-
to happen, but we kind of want to see it.
Thanks.
It's entertainment. Because we love everybody here, but for the story, and it would play
Fuck him.
into Coop's. It would play into Coop's character. Just saying.
So there is that sound like a smack, like almost like a high five, but it's Rosie. Yeah, Jessica gets her like right in the palm, and then Rosie like backs up quick and is like, "Jesus, welcome back."
For the record,
And
it
just
didn't feel like
backs up.
kung fu to you, but it was to Coop. He watched all of this happen. He heard the smack of the fist on the hand. He's just like, Miyagi-san.
Hell yeah. Oh my god. And it didn't feel nearly as cool to Rosie. And she's just like, Jessica?
You're muted.
You hear a squeal from Jessica as she, oh, Rosie, as she like runs at you and gives you like a big hug.
Hi, Jessica. Hello. And I'm like looking uncomfortably at Coop, like still unsure of this whole reunion. I'm like, welcome back. How was out of town? Did you go to Traverse City?
She like stands back and she's like, well, there was like cherries, and then there was this really weird aviation museum, like planes. I don't understand it. It's just not my thing. They all look the same.
Yeah, that's fair. It's it is what it is. It's Traverse City, the Maritime Museum. What are you gonna do?
She looks like, you can see like she just kind of looks behind you at Coop, and she looks back at you, and it's like, everything okay?
Your grandma's consolation cookies were really good, and I think there's a guy dying downstairs.
Yeah. So, no. To answer your question, everything's not okay. We need to go down to the basement. So come on back out, and we gotta do a little the trick
Wait,
with the door.
shouldn't we get the sisters first?
Coop, I gotta think that the footsteps we heard, Jessica.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
There we go. Okay. Better late than never. All right. We're walking, and we're walking.
As
and
Coop is leaving, Jessica grabs Rosie's arm just for a second, and she leans in, and you can see she like brings out a mirror, and she puts it in front of her so that Rosie can see the reflection
Okay.
Of Jessica?
of Jessica. Yeah.
Let's roll a D100 on this. I'm going to tell you right now, 6%. That means you have to land within 3 on either side of what I roll
To do what?
to
To
see
get me
the
to see it?
reflection.
Oh, you talking to me?
No.
Or
I want Jessica to roll.
Emerald. Okay.
Yeah. I rolled a 29.
I rolled a 17. It was close.
Damn.
Jessica's holding a mirror up, and you see Jessica reflected in it, and kind of in the mirror, I imagine you just see Jessica's eyes going from the mirror to you, to the mirror to the you, to the mirror to the you.
And Rosie can kind of smell it too, and she's like, "You have like a lot of hairspray in today, huh?" Your hair looks great, and in this humidity, I know that that's an accomplishment.
It's like, oh my god, thank you. But also, can Jessica see other Jessica, or is it just her reflection?
You see your own reflection not moving independently. You see just your normal reflection.
Yeah. Jessica's like, what a bitch.
Listen, you punched me. I don't know. What are you talking about?
She stands up, closes the mirror. Never mind. You said a guy was dying?
Maybe. We should go back downstairs and see.
The back door opens again, and Coop's standing out in the backyard, and he goes, "Are you guys coming? I don't know how to do the doorknob."
And Rosie would like laugh a little bit and head out there, and she would look back at Jessica one last time and just be like, everything's fine as it ever is here, so just we're good. It'll be fine.
While you're gathering Jessica and doing the door trick to head downstairs, we're going to go back downstairs for this few minutes as Templeton is continuing to just move around in this space. Oak, I would like you to roll me a grit check, please. I think that's what I want you to roll.
You let me know, and then I will gladly roll the thing on
Let's
the
see.
thing.
It's going to be... Yeah, it's grit. Grit's what I want.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Well, after I stop opening like 1,000 different versions of my character sheet for some reason, grit check it is. The D6. Ooh.
This is going to be a this is going to be a DC. I'm going to tell you this is going to be a DC 5.
Okay, I'm gonna use my adversity token to roll again.
That's not
Right,
how
I
they
can do
work.
that, right?
Nope, they work
That's
as
not how they
plus
work?
ones.
They work as plus ones. Okay. Can I? I have a adversity token of my own. Can I use that? And then also, can I use some domain pops to get it there? Because I rolled a 3. I need 3 more. So, or at least 3 more.
You only
to
need
get
2
over the
more.
5.
You only have to hit the DC to succeed.
Okay. Well, then I will spend an extra 1. I'll take my adversity token off, and then I'll spend an extra pop to get to 5. I do love that sound. Is one of my favorites. Okay. Well, adversity token's gone.
Okay. You feel you suddenly become very aware of how thirsty you are. But you also somehow know in this moment it's not your thirst that you're sensing. It's the thirst of the plant that is growing on your arm. It wants water. You feel it like a feeling of thirstiness, but there's somehow you know it's the plant.
Okay. Oh dear. Okay. I'm gonna look around the room. Okay, I'm gonna look around the room. I don't want to touch my friends, but I'm gonna look around the room and see if there's any sign of like a water, any water space, anything.
In the room that Templeton's in, there is a janitorial sink in there.
Okay. I don't want to. Okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Hawaiian shirt that I usually wear. I'm going to take that off. So it'll be just him having his undershirt on and the suspenders. But he's going to take the Hawaiian shirt and wrap it around the portion of the arm that is covered in moss, because he doesn't want his friends to touch it. And then he's gonna like ask politely, but kind of like bumble his way into the room, like, guys, don't mind me. I need to check something. I need to see something. Move out. Excuse me. Come. And he'll make his way into the room and immediately go to the sink and start turning on the water, at least checking to see if the sink even produces water. Hopefully. My luck, it'll be a dead sink. It's like, no, it's just a sink there. There's no water. Nothing comes out.
You turn the knobs on the faucet, and you hear this sort of dun, 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 and then water begins to, like rusty looking water, begins to spit out, and then starts to come out normally.
Okay. Once it's clear, you see that Oak will take off the Hawaiian shirt for a second and then just dip. Basically, I imagine trying to dip his shoulder and like almost his bicep into the water and then just like let it sit there and see. He wants to see what this thing does. He's also, is it still very itchy? Like, I imagine he's also still
It's
very itchy.
very itchy until you put it in the water. As soon as the water hits your arm, you feel instant relief.
It's okay. That's good. That's good.
You need to roll a D100, please.
Okay.
God. This is the percentage of your body that it covers after this.
Oh, is it? Is it? I
No.
didn't know this, but thank
Sorry.
you. I'm pretty sure that's probably right. Let's hope I don't become a shrubbery that you
I'm
have to
not in
carry
charge
around. That's a 51 or a 15, depending on how you want to look at it. I'm imagining
As
the
the water hits your arm and you feel this sense of relief and that sort of third person thirst is sated, you immediately see this moss spread to cover 51% of your arm.
Oh, phew. Okay. It's just his arm. It's just his arm.
So I didn't say anything. It wasn't
body.
It wasn't his body, but it was definitely a percentage of the arm. Your entire upper arm and down into the elbow. Suddenly, you just watch. It's like watching a time lapse as it just spreads, wrapping around your arm. You can see where it starts to not claw, but it looks like tendrils, almost like roots, but below the surface of the skin, reaching across your shoulder and past your elbow towards your arm, towards your forearm.
Quit poking it.
At the same time, at your feet, Billy, the man stirs and weakly lifts his head up and kind of pushes himself up to sitting. He kind of reaches towards Oak and he goes, "No, don't feed it."
What the hell? What's going on, Oak? What is that?
I got thirsty, and I thought that
You drink through your arm?
I don't know what this thing is, man, but clearly there's something going on. Okay,
Get away from the water. It's not good.
Turn it off. And he'll wrap up the whole top half of his arm now in basically like a sling that is made of his Hawaiian shirt.
This is about the moment that Coop, Rosie, and Jessica come down the stairs. Coop and Rosie, you see a similar scene that you left. except everybody's looking at and shining flashlights on Oak, who's now in this extra room, which you now see, Jessica, as Oak is, for whatever reason, has wrapped his Hawaiian shirt around his arm, and you can kind of see the parts that aren't covered. You can see some kind of green plant matter on it, and you see a man lying on the floor, bearded, bespectacled, but looking kind of weak. But you recognize him as the scientist who was not directly participating in your torment, but was in the lab and was one of the ID cards you snatched. It is one of the scientists from the lab.
Wait, one of the ID cards I
kicked his ass.
Yeah,
you grabbed
unconscious.
You grabbed some ID cards, and you actually have those ID cards in. You have what they are in a private message in Discord that I sent you. This is Dr. K.
Oh.
That's how he
think
was
it's-
known around the lab, was Dr. K.
Yeah, as soon as Jessica sees him, she stops dead in her tracks and what is he doing here?
Do you know him?
Dying. It's the dying guy.
Yeah, he's the guy. The guy that's maybe dying. Is he dead yet?
He felt no, he just talked. I think he knows something about what's going on with Oak.
What's going on with Oak? We were gone for 3 minutes.
Well,
Jeez. Rolling like a
okay.
chia pet.
That is happening. That is a thing that is happening. I thought I was getting thirsty, and I thought, man, maybe I should take a drink or something. But then I realized, no, that's not me that wants a drink. That's this stuff. And hypothesis has been proven that was a wrong calculation. Don't like it. Don't do it again. Remember that little tiny patch you saw before?
Yeah.
And he kind of pulls up just a little bit.
Oh my god.
I got a full-on bush growing out now.
Maybe
Pretty sure that's not good.
That's something else, man. You need a lawnmower.
Yeah.
What caused that, Oak?
Well, no, I was just sitting at that table over there, okay, and I was just doing my thing, trying to figure out whatever's going on with all the heat wave stuff, and then I got itchy all of a sudden, and I just started itching, and one thing led to another, and now I got this whatever this is on my arm. I can't call it a rash. It is quite literally. I don't know. I don't know how to describe this. I can't go to a doctor really and ask to be, hey, can you remove this from me?
Rosie, as soon as he says, can you remove this for me, Rosie disappears into another part of the basement and you hear clattering, and she comes back with I imagine a very old looking saw and be like, we have to get rid of that Oak.
What? Hey, wait a minute. Hold on now. What? Rosie, are you thinking about cutting it off of me?
Yes!
What
What are you thinking about doing?
Not yet. I don't know what it is. I don't want to cut my arm off.
We're not gonna cut your arm off. We're just gonna cut that shit off your arm.
Fine. Go ahead. You want to try? By all means.
I think I saw this in science class. We have to sterilize it or something.
Well, yeah, at least sterilize the saw for me, okay? Please, I don't want tetanus on top of this. God.
You see, I think Jessica would walk over to the guy laying and kind of kick him in the side.
Oof, wake up.
he's kind of at this point he's kind of pulled himself up to sitting and leaning against the wall. He has no visible signs of injury, but you can see coming up from the collar of his shirt and moving up his neck, you can see a very similar green mossiness on him.
Hey, doctor, what's on his arm? She like points over to Oak.
I don't know.
She like
This
kicks
would-
him again,
Ah.
like just kind of like boots him in the leg.
This wasn't supposed to happen. It's not. Something's changed. It's not supposed to happen this way.
What way is it supposed to happen?
Whatever this is, it shouldn't be. You see him kind of look down for a moment, and he struggles and he pulls himself up to standing, and he says, I didn't want you to find out this way. And he's looking right at Oak. My name is Dr. K, and I work on the Nexus project. I saw you all in the lab. But my real full name is Dr. Orson
Yeah.
Axel Kubrick.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
that's where we're going to take our break.
Way to go, Tamiko.
Carrie and I discussed this ages ago.
Many moons ago.
Ages ago. Like,
Wow.
yeah, like
What's
right
funny
after we
is
met them.
M has had this information since the lab.
Fuck you.
Because
Incredible.
Oh my
M Jessica
God,
pulled the
wow.
ID cards.
Yes. Oh.
So
Wow.
we're gonna go ahead and
My
take a
mind
few
is blown.
minutes to take a break. Also, Chad knew this because
I did.
How
I
long
did.
did
It's
you
so-
know?
oh my
It's
gosh,
so
so,
good.
long ago.
So long ago, and I've been waiting for the payoff. and
So
it
you
was
you
so
remember
good.
remember at the end of the first arc when you guys got pulled into the void and you were put into those individual interrogation rooms?
You'll never be alone. Oh.
And Dr. K was the one who was interviewing Oak. And at the end of it, I asked Chad to stick around and I told him what I was working on
And at
So-
the bottom of
so that he
The
would know
map.
about it. And we've just kept in communication about. Basically, I just told Chad, keep playing it the way you're playing it. Chad didn't know anything else. Chad didn't know when or how or where or anything like that.
I didn't
but
know how we
this
were going to
was-
pull the trigger on it.
This was
but it
something that
great.
involved one of your characters, and so that's where I had to talk to Chad to make sure it was okay if we went down this road. You know, part of the whole agency and safety tools and all that stuff. So let's
that
go
says
ahead.
O Kubrick, doesn't it? On the goddamn map. That says O Kubrick in the bottom.
Oh, at the-
Annotated by O. Kubrick.
The
Fuck
partial,
you.
yeah,
Oh my
the map you got at the
God.
very beginning, and it's the partially
love it so
obscured
much.
annotation. I'll bring the map up real quick so the audience can
Yeah.
see what we're talking about.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So good.
So
so
if
much
you
fun.
look,
That's
in-
deeper seated than Oak's arm right now.
if you look, if you look down in the lower right hand corner, it says Paradise, Michigan, annotated by, and it's partially scratched out, and it does say O. Kubrick.
Bravo.
God damn it. Wow.
This,
Remarkable.
truth
So
be
good.
told, this twist I've had planned for 10 years. This was one of the original story seeds that I had when I was first developing the idea of Paradise, Michigan in my mind.
That's so cool.
I'm
That's
so
awesome.
thankful.
Honestly-
What an honor, Chad.
Who
Bring
knows
that
how
to life.
long this would have gone unrevealed if not for that D100 roll that
So
landed
you're
this situation.
all welcome.
Yeah.
So
Way to reclaim it, Carrie.
Yeah. You call
right.
that a redemption.
Let's go ahead and take
Redemption
a
arc.
let's go ahead and take a brief break. If I can even pause my music because I don't know what's going on here. It's not one tech issue, it's another. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take a brief break, about 10 minutes. We'll see you on the other side. And we're back. And the mysterious scientist has just said, my name is Dr. K. My full name is Orson Axel Kubrick. And he's looking at you, Oak, as he says this.
I think there's like maybe like a shot where like we see everybody else's faces like turn in unison from the guy on the floor to look at Oak.
What?
A saw. I don't know why I didn't expect that you would have a saw, but you actually just like there was a moment where you held up that saw and I didn't question it, and then something clicked and I went, "Wait, Carrie has a saw."
I'm trying so hard not to like blow my
Fucking
mic up.
method actor.
Oh my god. Okay. Back in character.
God, it's intended.
Hey,
Intended.
Result.
that's your name.
Yeah.
Identity theft is no joke, Jim.
Okay. No. Okay. All right. Okay. Answer me a question. You're really me. All right.
I am.
Okay.
Was that your question?
No. How do I know that you're you and I or me?
Ask him a question, Oak. Ask him a question that only you know.
He reaches down and he pulls up the pant leg of his slacks, just about 6 or 8 inches, and you see the braces that are on his legs.
Oh, okay. Ooh, okay.
And he like he genuinely takes like a step back from.
Okay. Then I don't need to ask a question, but I do have another one. I've seen Back to the Future. Okay, I've watched that movie. They say numerous times in that movie that if you and I are in we see each other, it breaks the paradox. Okay. Why are we not dead right now?
Juicy fruiting the timeline.
You've been here in Paradise.
There's like a dead pantomime to Coop, just like.
You've been here in Paradise for quite a while. I would say, and I know for a fact, you've seen more than your share of what could be classified as paradoxes.
Well, yeah.
Also, Back to the Future is a movie.
Okay.
It's a Hollywood
Smart guy.
approach to...
I know that.
While paradoxes are generally a real danger in this particular case, not the way you think. The real danger is this. And he kind of pulls his shirt down, and it's the same, coming up from the same side where yours is on the same arm.
Okay.
This is an anomaly.
Alright, so first question, how are you both here?
That's your first question?
I'd also like to know that.
Jessica says.
Jessica.
For the first time, Dr. K turns and actually looks right at you, Jessica. I imagine you have a lot to say to me.
She like crosses her arms.
Oh.
I need you to understand. One, you have every right to be as upset as you appear to be. And then he kind of cocks his head and looks at you, both of you, he says. But you all...
kept us there for like a week. You gave us peas.
I did everything I could do to minimize what was being done to you, to both of you. I couldn't get to Billy. I was not on that team. Dr. Sharp took over, and that's the worst thing. That's the worst case scenario. I did what I could to minimize any harm that they were doing. And he looks around at all of you. I work with the 7. I am one of the 7.
Then how the hell did you get snuck into that lab and get working for them? They seem like they have their shit together. How did they not sniff you out?
They're not as smart as they think they are. Well, they're not as smart as I am. And I have the advantage
I
of...
wink over at Oak, like I'm proud of him. Our Oak, our little Oak.
I have the advantage of having been here for about 30 years.
But you live in California,
I
I think.
live in Paradise. Ever since I showed up here 30 years ago, I haven't been able to leave. When the Nexus project came up, by then I had already been pursuing education and the sciences, and he kind of looks a little smug in that sort of proud way, and for a moment you see the childlike look of Oak as he says, I'm entirely self-taught, of course. And at a certain point I was able to, as computers started to come around, I just threw myself into them and started to learn them. There's a lot you can do with computers that make it easy to create artificial documents, things like credentials from universities, doctorates, all those sorts of things. And well, my reputation and my skill set spoke for themselves. When I got put into the Nexus project, by then I was already working with the 7. I sought the sisters out because we had met them 100 years ago. 100 years ago from now. Or a couple weeks ago. For you, he kind of looks back at you, Oak. I know it's all very confusing, but I came here as soon as I realized something was wrong. Whatever this is that's affecting us, it's not supposed to happen. I've spent the last several years studying the ley lines and their effects in Paradise, and in part having to do with me turning up 30 years ago, I studied things in the space-time continuum. And I've been able to look forward and backwards along the ley lines and a little ways forward and backwards in time. And this never happened.
Okay, well, now that it has happened, what the fuck do we do about it?
Well, the first thing we need to do, and he looks right at you, Oak, is don't water the plants.
I have an idea.
Okay. And you see Oak like move his way over to himself, right? Over to the side of the room where him and himself are together in the in that same space, and so that he's not touching any of you.
Okay, so
Getting it wet made it worse?
Yep.
Jessica, do you have a blow dryer in your backpack?
Okay, here,
Did they have those in the 80s?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Oh, then 100%.
yes,
Have
yes,
those
they had-
back in covered wagon times? The 80s?
They were
God.
oil powered then.
They called them ye oldie hair blowers.
It just looks like a big bellows, but it says Con Air on the side.
Revlon.
That was such an innocent question, and we don't mean to make fun of you for that. But those of us that were alive in the 80s and well into being there in the 80s, well, speaking for myself, yes, hair dryers were a thing back then.
I'm just going to pitch with the weird humidity and everything that's been going on with her hair. It's not outside the realm of possibility that she might have one.
Oh no, I think Jessica totally has a whole bunch of stuff that she stole from her mom, including a hairdryer. Most probably.
You probably got one of those hair dryers with all the different attachments for.
100%.
Yeah.
We could blow dry your moss, and then it won't spread as fast.
Oh, my grandma puts stuff on our front lawn, and it makes all the weeds die.
Well, wet worse, dry not worse.
I don't mean to sour your rather quite good idea, Coop, but the power's out right now.
Shit.
What about over-salinization?
Oh, beans.
Yeah.
Salinization is a possibility. It could cause a dehydration and interfere with the nutrient absorption of the plant. That's not a bad idea, Billy. That's something we'll have to test. My fear is, as this is growing on us, it may be integrated into our own biochemistry. We need to be careful about whether or not this is going to affect us. Whatever we do to this could have an effect on us.
People
how about
can go salt water without a problem.
How about we test it on you first? If you're him 30 years in the future, something that happens to you shouldn't happen to him.
In the same way, well, you're not wrong, but you're not right. There's more than just time travel involved here, Rosie. It's the ley lines. The lines of power that intersect all over Paradise. We're connected through those as well. I can help, but not here. We don't have power.
Where do we need to go?
Well, the best place to go would be to the labs under the processing plant. But that's also the worst place to go.
Yeah.
I can get in and out of there without any problems, but you saw what happened the last time y'all showed up there. You're lucky you got out when you did. But I have a place that it's out of the way. Nobody knows about it. And I've been able to build up my own modest laboratory there. And I have generators.
I'm waiting for the big reveal of where, man.
It's less about where than it is about how we're going to get there.
I want one person in this fucking town to answer a question normally.
I will tell you. I will tell you exactly.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for my complicated self. Okay, I'm so sorry that I'm so complicated.
I will tell you, Rosie, exactly what you want to know. You're gonna have to trust me. We need to go into that room, and he indicates the little apartment room behind the bookshelf.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to take the ley line to my lab.
My dad warned me. Yeah, no. This is how kids die. This is how kids end up on the fucking milk cartons, man. Well, it's most of the time, and she kind of glances over at last.
But Oak can't kill himself. That would...
Billy and Jessica have already traveled by ley line. That's how
Oh,
you showed
shit.
up in the labs. You were detected because we were monitoring all of you. We've been monitoring all of you since you arrived in Paradise. We detected the anomaly that was happening when you were outside the lighthouse. That's when they were able to lock in on you, Jessica. When
So you're saying we're like gonna disintegrate again?
it's sort of like in Star Trek when they use the transporters.
I look over at
It's
Jessica
like,
and I was like,
beam
did
me
that
up.
hurt?
There was no pain involved for either you or Billy. Anything you felt, I will leave to you, was purely psychological. Seeing yourself disintegrate before yourself, and then I mean, there's definitely a psychological component there.
Felt weird. I wouldn't say it hurt. Just when you see yourself broken apart like that, even something that happens over a second can feel like it's stretched out. And having already seen it happen to Jessica, it's freaking bizarre.
Again, in the interest of being fully transparent with you, we can get there by walking, but my fear is that we will be seen. And I have kept this place secret for the last 15 years.
So, out of game, is the moss exactly the same percent on both oaks?
Dr. K is still wearing a long sleeve button down shirt. And you haven't seen anything other than what's kind of peering up over his collar. He hasn't shown you his growth.
So I turned to...
Thank God for that.
Great.
As soon as I said it, I regretted that I used those words.
I
felt wrong.
turned to young oak. Alright, before we get a move on, I need some assurances that this is, who he says he is. There's been lots of crap, and I turned to everybody. There's been lots of crap that we've just had to, accept and swallow in this freaking town. Is there anything that he can say that proves he is who he says he is?
Oak.
What?
What? When you made D&D themed necklaces for everybody, what did you make for yourself?
So he made himself a wizard's hat to be the wizard of the party.
When you say this, Billy, Dr. K reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a set of keys. And on the keychain is that wizard hat. Except it looks worn. It looks more worn out, but it looks like the same
patina,
one. Yeah, heavy patina. It's been, bouncing around on his keychain for who knows how long.
Coop leans into Laz, all quiet-like, and says to Laz, whispers to Laz, There's someone who knows if he's a good guy or a bad guy. Because they've been in the same lab together.
Okay, yeah. He'll try to sneak Templeton, kind of try to hide from Dr. K, and kind of ask Templeton about whether this dude should be trusted or not.
You would, in order to do that, you would have to go in the room and find Templeton.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God.
Templeton went into the room and was exploring.
Yeah. I'll go look for him while he's kind of giving everybody else the rundown.
All right. While this is happening and you're in the room looking for him, you look under the cot, you look in the sink, you look on the table, the bookshelves. This is cinder block all the way around. The only exit is the bookshelf hidden entrance. Templeton's not there.
It's like a cold sweat that like comes over
We have to follow him.
Laz,
Follow him.
and he kind of looks at Coop and just like shakes his head with like a shrug of his shoulders.
As you're looking around, because you went in there and spent some time deliberately looking for Templeton, what you do see is the last fading blue light, very faint, on the floor in a smaller, similar sigil to what appeared when Templeton activated the sigil in the main room.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
Yeah, Laz kind of stands up and kind of looks back at Coop, and then he's gonna step on the sigil.
You see Laz very deliberately, anybody looking that way sees Laz very deliberately step in the center of the room. And I imagine almost like bracing yourself, like not quite sure what you're expecting to happen. And nothing happens.
Wait. Did Templeton go through the poof place?
Dr. K glances over and says, "It's not quite how it works, Laz.
Listen. Templeton's gone. Hurry we
Wait a
gotta
minute.
go get him.
Templeton was with you?
You would know that.
Listen.
How would I
Listen,
know
enough-
that?
Because you're him and he's
Because you're right here.
Listen. We need
It's
to...
been over 30 years. I don't remember every single
I think
little
you
thing.
remember a fucking talking rat. I don't fucking trust this guy.
You would be surprised at the amount of talking animals I've seen. And I've spent a lot of time with Templeton in the lab. Templeton and Algernon and James and Persephone and Adam and Eve. More than you can count. I know more about Templeton than you do. And if Templeton has been with you, I'm a little concerned about you.
I take a cautionary step away from Big Oak. This whole time Rosie has been like listening to this story with like very closed off body language and like she doesn't trust any of this, and now when he's like bad mouthing Templeton, it kind of cements this is just. And I step closer to Laz.
You, if you're still here because you couldn't leave and you've been stuck here the whole time, where are the rest of us?
Yeah, what happened to us?
You all were still here, as best I can remember, when I was pulled into the past. There was an event. There was a surge of ley line power. And I can't remember a whole lot that happened right around that. I don't remember what we were doing, but I remember y'all being there. And then when I came to, it was 1950 something. I've been trying to learn as much as I could, studying in computers and science and technology, whatever I could get a hold of, for 30 years, waiting for all of you, all of us, to show up here. And then when you showed up, we started monitoring you through the Nexus project. I was just waiting until I could make a move to make connection with you. I didn't
What do you
expect that they
mean?
were going to do half of what they did.
What What do you mean monitoring us?
Yeah.
We all are anomalies. Something registered within the project. They were able to detect us when we showed up.
To
We-
what end?
We don't belong here.
What are they looking to do with us? Get from us?
It started off just seeing what we were going to do and how we were going to react to things. They've been here for close to 5 years. They've been known to be here by some for about 2 years. This whole time they've been concentrating on the ley lines. The whole project was headed up by I suddenly forgot her name. The Raven.
Raven.
Ashley Raven.
Ashley Raven, yeah. The whole thing's been spearheaded by Director Raven.
How high up the chain is Dr. Sharp?
Dr. Sharp and I were chief scientific officers within the organization. You could say we were kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde almost. Opposite sides of the coin. Dr. Sharp is interested only in what he can gain for himself from the ley lines at whatever cost. I've just been trying to figure out how to get back home.
And if you happen to be working for this big evil fucking corporation to get yourself out of a spot, then that's all fine, right? Collateral
No, I went
damage?
there on purpose because I recognized things that we had already seen. I had vague recollections of some of this stuff, and I started to put the pieces together, and I realized these are the people that are searching out these ley lines and figuring out what's going on. They were the same people that we interacted with in now, but back then for me, it's very confusing. I inserted myself with the help of the Seven so that we could figure out how to keep them from being able to manipulate the ley lines for themselves. You have to understand, even the Seven don't understand how all this works. But one thing that I learned from the sisters and some of the others that we met on the beach, remember when we first got here and we went back 100 years to that shipwreck? They know that us showing up there is part of what caused a lot of what's been happening ever since then. We weren't supposed to be back there. But they also know that there was something here already. The ley lines were already there. When we showed up 100 years ago, we started something. I've just been trying to figure it all out, and I've honestly just been waiting for all of you, all of us, to show up and trying to learn as much. Since we showed up, the ley lines have been going wild. I mean, you've seen it. Billy's ripped. You see now, the more he's talking, he's kind of taking on that young Oak excitement, and you see that same thing, that same sort of look and energy that Oak gets when he's putting together his conspiracy board and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's kind of looking at you, Oak, almost pleadingly, like it's a quest to understand, to figure out how all this works, piece all the parts of the puzzle together.
There's a moment that he's just been listening to to you. He's been listening to himself, trying to piece all of it together himself. And then he looks to the whole group. And he issues an apology. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry to all of you. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know why this happened right now. I don't know why they did what they did to you, Jesse. And I don't know why they did what they did to you, Billy. I don't know. I don't know.
Oak, nobody
But I
blames
did-
you.
No,
Nobody
but
blames
I-
you.
Well, you are, though. Because I'm sorry. But if y'all don't want to believe him, I believe him. And that is me, okay? So I know it doesn't make sense right now. I know it doesn't.
Coop goes to put a hand on your shoulder and then stops and puts a hand on your other shoulder
The good one. Okay, yeah.
Ew.
and says, "Okay, Oak. I believe you, and I'll have faith in old you."
Thank you, Coop. Okay.
So
We've got to find a way to get rid of your tree herpes. And we've got to get Tempe back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. So
Rosie would give Oak like a comforting look, like she will be kind of with him, and then as she looks at Big Oak again, she tries to stop herself, but her face kind of gets like hardened again and be like, where's this lab?
well, before we go any further, Jessica, you've been rather quiet. Given what's happened, are you willing to trust him? Do you believe him?
Muted.
You're muted.
Jessica is going to look at Old Oak in the eyes and very pointedly takes out a mirror and is going to look at it. She wants to see what other Jessica thinks. If
Roll me a D100.
Get Mirror
Okay.
Jessica's vote.
Yeah.
Roll a D100. There is a much higher percentage
Okay.
of something
eight-
happening.
83.
I rolled a 63.
Mm-hmm.
You pull out this. It was a compact, right? That you had pulled out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
yeah.
pull out this compact and sort of turn the mirror, and there's a little bit of a flashing of light as it catches the light from Oak or Billy's flashlight and kind of momentarily reflects it into Dr. K's eyes. There's that sort of anime white flash as his lenses turn white. And then you kind of flip it back, and you're looking into the mirror and seeing your reflection. And your reflection is staring daggers in the direction of Dr. K.
Ooh.
And she says, "There's a part of me that wants to rip his balls off and shove them down his throat.
Fuck!
But there's a part of me that knows that if he wasn't there in the lab, I don't know if we would have survived."
Yeah, that brings up an interesting point because Jessica wasn't really conscious for a lot of that, but other Jessica was.
Yeah.
So
There.
yeah.
You know what? I want you to make a. What is your what is your grit die?
D4.
D4. I
Yeah.
think that's what I want. Let me just double check. Undetermined how much brute strength. Brains is how book smart you are. That's not gonna work. Grit determines how hard it is to break a character emotionally or physically. All right. Roll me a grit check. And I'll tell you right now, this is going to be an opposed grit check.
Ooh, I exploded for a...
I also exploded.
Oh no.
Okay.
I only got a 7.
Wait.
Wait.
Take like 3 pops, make it a 10.
Yes, Tamiko. Tamiko, you're learning. It's always
Okay.
the 10s and the 20s.
So hold on one second before you do that. You got a 7, you said?
Yeah.
All right, so that would be. Okay, it's your decision if you want to take those or not. The 3 tomes or 3 pops.
Yeah, I'll take the 3. 10 seems good. 10
Atta
seems
you.
like a... Yeah.
Okay, so that is the difference between. That is the difference. Sorry, that gets me every time. That is the difference between a success not impressively and a succeeds quite impressively.
All right.
Hooray.
It did something.
Your reflection just tried to take over. Just tried to pull you into the mirror and tried to manifest in the physical world.
Ooh.
And you stopped her. What this says is the character succeeds quite impressively. At the GM's discretion, the character might have some additional benefits beyond the success, but these will be slight and only if important for pushing the game forward. So here's what I want. I would like you to describe how you stop other Jessica from manifesting, and then I'm going to add something to that.
Okay. Can I ask a clarifying question
Yes.
first? With all of this, can anyone see
I
the
saw her-
other Jessica?
I saw her pull out her freaking compact again, and Rosie would roll her eyes and be like, Jesus, the compact again.
So here's what's interesting. As this exchange is happening, all of you hear Jessica's reflection talking and see it moving independently.
Isn't this the first time
Yes.
Jessica has ever talked about her power or what happened
Nope.
to her?
No.
Mentioned it? No.
No, I
Yeah,
think.
you
You
told us
mentioned it
about it.
very briefly when we all got back together.
Yeah,
It
you
was,
did
very,
briefly talk about it, but this
and
is
I
the
could talk to my reflection. Anyway.
yeah, this is the first
Yeah,
time
that's
you've
right. Yeah,
this is
that's
the
right.
first time you've demonstrated, and it's definitely the first time everybody is actually seeing this.
Yeah.
My
Okay, so
God.
you see Jessica, you hear Jessica, the other Jessica's voice, and her. I'm trying to think of how this. I think that you would almost see things beginning to flip on Jessica. Like if she has a watch, it slowly begins to shift into the other side, right? Like as if it was the reflection coming out. So you see Jessica almost begin to glitch in and out, when you take a picture and you flip it really fast. It almost looks like that. But you hear Jessica just no as she brings herself back.
And what I'll add to that is from a visual perspective, because this feels very 80s. If I say the term lenticular, does anybody know what that means? Or does everybody know? You know those pictures that have like grooves on them, and when you turn them,
Yes.
the image shifts? That's what you see. But the shifting in Jessica is so slight that what you're seeing is, like the watch shifts. A lock of hair that's loose is suddenly over here on this side. That very subtle, don't tell Jessica you see this, asymmetry of the face. You just see that shift. You all see this. You all hear other Jessica. I've been trying to find it and I can't, so I'm just going to ask you outright. What is Jessica's middle name?
Anne. Jessica Anne.
As you push back against the reflection, you see Dr. K look at you and look at the mirror, and he looks back at you. I see you're learning how to control Anne. What the thing I'm going to add that's additional, that in that success, Jessica, you have made a connection with your reflection, who you now know is Anne. This connection gives you an insight. You, for the most part, have control over whether or not you can manifest Anne. But she also, at times, will attempt to push through, which will result in a opposed grit check. But you now know that if you want to or need to, you could willingly trade places and allow Anne to step into the real world.
Awesome.
So make a note of that for your essentially your powers, with your powers.
I think Laz has come over to stand next to Coop again, and he just kind of leans over to Coop and says, "Now there's two of her?"
Rosie would be like kind of cautiously approaching Jessica again, this time ready. And she would just be like, Are you okay? What happened? What did she do?"
You see Jessica like just like scrunch up her nose a little bit as it's fine. We're good. Us. And she's like referring to like the reflection.
Mm.
She's just like a bit of a control freak.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like, is she like stuck in there? Is that how it works?
Like Jessica just like shrugs genuinely, like she doesn't know. I think
Alright.
so. I think she's like the only one. And she turns to Big Oak. Anne, she said you kept us safe, so like I guess whatever. Which is the closest thing to "I trust you" from Jessica.
That is the kindest thing she's ever said to anybody.
Well, Anne's right.
Sounds like it sounds like we're in an agreement, at least for now. How does this ley line work?
We need to step inside the room together, as Laz has already discovered, and apparently sounds like Templeton may have already activated it. There's a sigil in there. It's my connection between this point and my lab. It's how I am able to get here when I need to meet with the 7. It's how we're going to get to the lab. And he starts to walk towards the room.
I look
Yeah.
everybody in the eye and make sure they that they understand. Like I wanna see that they're acquiescing to this.
I can understand any one of you that still doesn't trust me. And all I can do is demonstrate through my actions. Right now, my biggest concern is helping Oak and myself. Because this is an anomaly beyond any anomaly that we or you have registered as. This is something I can't account for, and I don't like that.
This is not anything you lived through the first time.
This never happened.
Sir, hi. Just question. I don't know. I'm sorry that I made it worse for us. Okay, I am. How? Scale of 1 to 10. How's that gonna spread? And like, how fast? Cause like, I'm concerned.
You should be concerned as much as I am concerned, and that's why I'm going to tell you straight up. As best as I can figure it, 1, unfortunately you exacerbated it by watering it. We need to avoid water.
Okay.
Like gremlins.
But I'm conservatively, I think we've got maybe 24 hours, 36 at most. And he looks at his watch, and then he kind of goes like, I forget. Watch isn't working. But I know we've lost at least an hour.
Okay.
So 23 hours maybe?
Okay.
You can see now that through all of this, Oak's been quiet because, like, honestly, everybody's pissed. Everybody's angry. Everybody's had like super fixed emotions, and he's like, I just want to make everything right. He starts to cry. He legitimately starts to cry.
I know you're here for a reason, and I get it. But like, telling a 12-year-old that he got like 23 hours to live, it's not really the way you want to go about it, okay?
Jesus. And Rosie would like walk into the freaking like room, and like on the way by, she grabs Oak like almost like by the head and like kind of pulls him into her side and is like, let's fucking go. And she just like walks into the tiny kidnapper closet.
He's just like
The kidnapper
face,
closet.
like his face is just like buried in her armpit, just being like, he doesn't want to think about it, but like he's just like, just take me to where I need to be because I can't think right now.
Nothing's gonna happen, Oak. And she pats him on the chest. And it's like, come on, guys, let's go. Oh, geez, we have 23 hours and some change.
As you all sort of gather into this room, do you all gather into the room first, I should ask? As you all gather in there, Dr. K looks at you, Oak. He hands you a handkerchief. I understand how hard it is to hear that. Believe me. But I figured the best thing to do is just be straightforward with you. And that's why I'm going to tell you, if we're able to overcome this, this isn't the worst thing that's going to happen to us. And he reaches up and he unbuttons several buttons of his dress shirt. He kind of loosens the tie, pulls it aside. And as he unbuttons his shirt, you see that there is an elaborate tattoo of a sigil on his chest. And he reaches up and touches the top part of it, and he begins to trace the lines, and as he does so, you see that sort of blue energy, like the tattoo begins to glow. He reaches over to a shelf up above where the chair is sitting on the wall. The shelf's on the wall, not the chair. And he grabs a small leather-bound book. And he hands it to you, Billy. Bite down on this. Trust me. And he completes the tracing of the line, and you all see as the floor sigil illuminates this blue light shining up. It's like when you shine a light into a lens. It's hard to see. You see this blue energy around you, and you all begin to see your hands and arms discorporating. And you all feel weightless. You begin to feel the floor leave out from underneath you. You feel weightless. You feel like when you've gone to the dentist and they give you the nitrous oxide, and you sort of start to float above the chair, and you have this sense of being in comfort and kind of calm. And then in an instant, it's like you're ripped through space and time. I need Billy and Jessica to make grit checks. Billy, what is your grit die?
Normally a D12, but because I'm souped up, it's a D20.
Okay.
Because he's on the roids.
It's going to be a 16, sir.
Okay.
I got a 1.
Okay. So, you feel the sensation of being pulled through space and time, and you all immediately feel as if you were traveling 1,000 miles an hour, and then boom, stop. Then you feel almost extra heavy as gravity becomes a thing that you are suddenly aware of. Billy, you felt yourself involuntarily biting down into this book, and you realized why Dr. K had you bite into it, because you felt as if you were going to transform physically into this wolfman, this dogman, this cryptid. Jessica.
Oh no.
As all of you begin, and I'm kind of paint a picture here. We see sort of the camera panning around, almost Matrix style, as it's moving around, and we see this empty space in the floor, and the sigil lights up on the floor, and as it pans around, we see Dr. K and Oak appear. We see Laz appear. We see Coop appear. We see Rosie appear. We see Billy appear. And Billy, you have physically bitten through the cover of this book, like into several pages of it. And we see Jessica appear. And we see Anne appear next to Jessica.
Oh, nope. Nope. Nope.
As all of this sensation whirls around, and you actually all feel for a moment like you're turning around. You have that, like when you're on a merry-go-round and you went really fast and then you stop and you still feel like you're spinning. And for a moment, Jessica, you feel like you're just seeing double vision. Maybe you're looking in a mirror. And you see your reflection looking just as astonished back at you as you realize Anne is physically standing in front of you. And before you all can even come to grips with what is happening, you hear from across this room a voice say, "Well, well, well, Dr. K. You've been busy."
Oh,
And looking in the direction of this voice, you see a man who looks to be somewhere between 30 and 50. It's hard to tell. He's wearing an all-white suit, white shoes, white pants, white coat, white shirt, white tie. And he is wearing round sunglasses that are red lensed, and they're mirrored slightly, but they're inverted. They're inverted, so they're concave. The lenses are, and you see now that you are all in some sort of. It looks like a lab, but it also looks like there's like elements of rustic construction, like bricks that have been laid, but you can kind of see up a little bit where there's dirt, and there's in one corner there's like old rusty farm equipment kind of leaning against the wall. And this man looks at you all again and says, "Now it's about time we meet in person." And Dr. K says, "Hello, Algernon." And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Oh,
So much happened tonight.
What
Oh my
the
gosh.
hell,
so
Jake?
much happened in the last 10 minutes. That's... This motherfucker's gonna die.
Which one?
All of
Yes.
them. Rosie's just gonna go ape shit.
It'll be Rosie
There
and
was-
Anne just killing everything.
So
Rosie and Han just going full nut drop.
It's time.
It's time.
The time has come.
Maybe I shouldn't have bit down on the book.
The time has come.
Right.
The walrus. said,
So,
"Talk about
Talk
here's-
of many things.
here's all I had written on my index card.
The fact that it's an index card should tell you all you
The grass is greener on the other side. At some point, the plant growth will request water. Dr. K, does he reveal who he is? Jessica, where was she, and how does she find the group? That was it. That's all I knew going into
That's
this.
so good though.
I knew that I wanted you all to go to this, to take the ley line with Dr. K, but I didn't know. I didn't know if you guys were going to trust him. I didn't know how you were going to react to the reveal. And there's a lot of things that happened with Jessica and Anne that were predicated entirely on the results of those dice rolls. And if Billy had lost the contest, you would also be contending with whatever Billy became when you arrived in this location. Yeah, there were a lot of variables going on here.
Vi's got you jonesing for a fucking TPK. You know, I think that's what's happening. It's infected your mind.
No.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to
party
emphasize, and I did. This was one of the things in the interest of again emphasizing safety tools. This was one of the things that I talked to Chad about in private message today, was that there is going to be a very important time limit on how this gets dealt with. So there's definitely a sense of a threat of death from this situation, a very real threat of death for Oak. that apparently has even wider implications. And it was something that I think I mentioned this one at the end of last week's session, that for the next couple sessions, we're sort of slowing time down a little bit because of the time crunch. We'll move through time as we need to based on the way you guys want to navigate this story and how you choose to approach this situation, as well as, of course, how we all deal with the results of dice rolls and things like that. But this is one of those things where you could choose to take it hour by hour. If we need to, we can move time forward a few hours. This could be, another 2 or 3 sessions. It could be resolved next session. I don't think it's going to be a Dawnbringer's 3 months for 24 hours session, but who knows? But this was also, as a GM, this was one of those sessions that I loved because I felt like I love when I get to inhabit a character, an NPC, and roleplay in that alongside you guys. But also getting to see all of your reactions to all of the different reveals and the things that happen. I love that.
Just when I thought, like, wow, he's done a lot. Like, go off, King. Like, it was it was so many things.
I had hoped, and I'm glad it happened the way it did at the end as sort of a cliffhanger, that you guys were going to take the ley line. And I'm really, what happened that I wasn't anticipating was that Laz sent Templeton into the room, and Templeton has the ability to interact with powerful things.
So are they in fucking cahoots? I'm
not going to answer any questions, but I was hoping to be able to end on an Algernon reveal. So that's what made me grin, was getting to do that ending scene. So, this was a great session from my perspective. I hope you guys all enjoyed it as much as I did.
Amazing.
Thank you to everybody who tuned in with us tonight. Thank you for, subs and bits and cheering and all that good stuff. We appreciate that. If you are somebody that is watching from the VODs, or you like to hang out quietly lurking in the chat, we appreciate you all the same. We hope to see you here on September 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for Legends of Eleonora, The Light of the Child, a special D&D charity one-shot with DM Todd Stashwick, players Matthew Lillard, Mika Burton, Tawny Newsom, and Jack Quaid, along with 2 special guests who each are donating several $1,000s to participate in this game. It's going to be amazing giveaways and donation incentives, and it's going to be a good game as well. So we hope to see you there for that. Finally, a huge thank you, as always, to these amazing players that I just love getting to, in all of the games. This is why we play these games. We get to pretend, we get to make believe, we get to do improv theater together, and for this game, I just can't imagine another group of people that I would rather play this with. It's so awesome to get to do this with you guys each week. So a huge mega thank you to Chad, Tamiko, Carrie, Ted, Jeremy, and Em, without whom this would just be me talking to myself for a couple hours. With that, we're going to go ahead and end this stream the same way we end every stream, and you can say it with me if you want. Metadata.